So what we're going to do here is do a very quick demo of how to put gray gesso on the canvas. So what I have here is some white gesso that's already in this container, and we've got some black gesso here. You just need a little bit of both. In case you don't have gray gesso, there is, and it is possible to get gray gesso, but if you don't have it, you can make your own. I'm going to take some of this black out of here, add it to this white, and we will mix those two together. And this gesso, the white gesso, is what's called professional gesso by Utrecht. So we're just going to pop this back on here. Actually, we don't need that. Let's leave that off. Just pop that back on here and close up tight. And we'll mix this together in here. And because it is so thick, what we have to do is to thin it out a little bit. As I say, some gessos are thick, some are thin. This happens to be the thicker stuff. And for this process, you want to have it a little bit thinner. So I'm going to add some water to it and start mixing it up. And we'll open the top. Okay, so I'm putting some water in here. You can see that it is water-based material. And we're just mixing the black and the white together here. And we'll wind up with a medium. What we want to have is a medium gray color. So somewhere between black and white, preferably right in the middle, because what that will do is give you a neutral ground to work on, and you won't have to worry about a background color at the beginning of this. A little bit more water in here. I'll show you what you want the gesso to look like. What you want to be able to do is when you lift the brush out of the gesso, to have it drip slightly off the end. This is still a little thick, but we want to have a nice combination of water, gesso, and the two colors, the black and the white together. So we're just going to mix this up some more. Now this is way too much for just the one board that we have here. But if you're going to do this, you're going to keep using it, you might want to have a few backup canvases ready, which is what I do. I'll just put some more of this in here. Mix this again. So we get a nice, consistent, even color, and we need a nice, consistent body to the paint so that it doesn't come off too thick. What happens is if you make the paint too thick and paint this, it makes streaks in there. The gesso will dry, the acrylic gesso will dry, and you'll have streaks in it that may not help you with your painting. What you want to have is a real smooth surface with texture. If it has a canvas texture, you can use that texture, but if not, you want to have the smooth background of this is a panel here. This is a masonite panel. So let's see how we're doing with our color. A little bit more water. Okay, let's see how that is. Okay. All right, so see now it's dripping slightly. You want to have it like that, not running off super fast, or not so globby that it just sits on the end of the brush. Okay, let's try that again. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I don't know if you can see that, but let's check that. All right. And I've got a container here, simple, junky, old container, doesn't have to be big deal, but it has a nice wide mouth so you can mix inside here. And I've got a 4-inch brush. The reason for that is when you coat this, you want to get as much on here fast and then set it aside and let it dry. Good thing to do. And I also have a piece of cardboard underneath here so you can overlap. That means go off the canvas with the brush so that you get a nice smooth finish. You don't want to stop at the end and then have globs of paint out here. Go off the canvas. Okay, bring it over here like this. And it's a good idea to, beforehand, set up a place where you will place this wet canvas to dry. Okay, so that, for me, is right over there. Let me set this down here, move this out. Now, okay, let me just check a few things. There were a few things that happened here that you have to watch for. First, we'll clean this off. Keep the palette knife clean at all times, if you can. And then there's a few little flecks of, since it's a new brush, some of the brush hairs come off from time to time. So if that happens, go around and flick them out of there, okay? And then hit it with the brush again, just so everything's nice and smooth, no flaws. And when that dries up, it'll dry up nice and flat. Let's try another color here. Okay, so that's in the drying rack. Here's one that's got a yellow surface on it for some reason. Don't know why. And we're going to take that again, little gesso, 4-inch brush, go across the surface like that. And that's basically it. Now, what we're going to do, I'm going back and forth this way too, because this one's a canvas and has a little texture to it. Do it again back this way. And what I recommend doing is when you do these, do 2 thin coats. And that will give you a nice, clean, solid surface to work on with a gray color there. And that should do it. Let's try one more just in case. All right, there's one down here. And zip. Just do this. You want the paint thin enough to cover it, but not so thick that it makes it look like a covering of plastic, which is what it would be. If you do it this way, it'll sink in nicely and lay flat. And you can do this 2 times just to make sure that the surface is totally covered. It's easy to do with this because it already has 1 coat on it. Other things that are raw canvas will take you a little bit longer to cover. Okay, and that should do it. And in about 15 minutes or so, that'll be ready to work on.